Good morning, LREA members. It's your president, Teresa Knapp Gordon, coming to you on this Friday with some information about the letters that have been going out to some of our employees that their positions have been eliminated. It's causing a lot of worry and chaos, and I'm working to deal with that. But in the meantime, I wanted to let you know the process that will happen if your position has been cut at your school and you have now been displaced. What it means when you are displaced is that you will have to choose another position. So, for example, I'm a library media specialist, but I'm also a certified teacher, and I taught for many years before I went into the library. So, let's say that because we lost enrollment, they're going to cut my position to a part-time position, a half-time position, and my position is going to be shared with another school. And there's already a media specialist at the other school who has more seniority in the district than I do. So that person would get the split position and I would be displaced. So I would receive a letter from HR stating that my position has been cut due to lack of enrollment, and I will be considered displaced. And there will be a meeting during which the process will be explained to us, and the date and time for that meeting will be announced at a later time. So then generally what happens is Renee Kovac and I call a meeting, and all of the displaced people come to the meeting, and we explain that they are displaced, which means they do not have a position currently. And because of that, they will be ranked in order of seniority, and they will be able to choose from any open position in the district. So we institute a hiring freeze, and no position can be filled with an outside person until all of those people are placed. So Renee would do the research and find out what everybody's certified in, how many years of seniority they have, all of that, and we would create a list that ranks people in order of seniority. And then she would also pull a list of all of the job openings that are available in the district. And then you would be notified, or I would be notified in this case, of a date on which I would come to the HR office, usually. Could be somewhere else, depends on how many people there are that are displaced, to choose a new position. And so all of the displaced teachers would show up on that date, and we would go in one by one to choose a new position by level of seniority. And once we choose that position, it's ours. And generally, then you would go meet the principal and do all of those things and prepare to move. And that is something that is guaranteed to you through LREA negotiations. In a lot of districts, if you're displaced, well, they don't even call it displaced. If you're RIFed, basically you would have to apply an interview for any new positions. So there are 100 or 75 positions, 75 teacher positions that are being cut, 25 at elementary, 25 at middle school, 25 at high school, and they're being cut due to lack of enrollment. As you know, we lost 600 and some odd kids last year. Early enrollment numbers are not available yet for this coming year. So there could be more losses, or there could be fewer losses. We won't know until later on that. But based on this year's enrollment, we knew we had to cut. And so those 75 teachers are being cut, and then there are also counselors and APs being cut. The problem is that in Little Rock, we're overstaffed. There are formulas that the state uses to provide funding to us for principals, APs, teachers, library media specialists, counselors, GT specialists, all those things, which means that we only receive money for a certain number of kids per employee. So, for fifth grade teachers, for example, you receive money for one teacher for every 28 kids. For middle school, you receive funds for one teacher for every 30 kids. You receive one counselor per every 450 kids, one media specialist per every 300 kids. And so, because we lost the DSEG money, and because we continue to lose kids, we're having to tighten up on the staffing numbers and bring it more in line with the formula. We had the luxury for years under DSEG of being heavy on the staffing. And we had smaller classroom sizes in a lot of schools, and we were able to offer tons of electives and lots of extra job positions, and those days are gone, especially as we continue to lose kids. So you're probably asking, well, how do we stop the bleeding? We stop the bleeding by getting our kids back. We're losing kids to charter schools, we're losing kids to private schools. And for every kid that leaves, that's about between $6,800 and $7,200 that leaves with them. And if you think that we lost 600 and some odd kids last year, that's a pretty nice chunk of change. And plus, that's more than some of our schools. That's more kids than some of our schools have enrolled in the entire school. And so the budget takes a hit when we lose that many kids. I guarantee you there's not a charter school in Little Rock that is better than any one of our public schools in Little Rock. I don't care which public school it is. Do we have some problems? Yes, we have some problems. But guess what? So do those charter schools. So do the private schools. They just don't get blasted all over the front of the newspaper every time they have an issue. Talk to your friends. Talk to your relatives. Tell them your Little Rock story. Tell them that their child is not going to have a better opportunity than they will have in Little Rock School District. Because of our numbers, we're able to provide programs and electives and opportunities for our students that charter schools and private schools just can't provide because they don't have the numbers to do it. I'm on my number 4 child going through Little Rock Public Schools, and I will say that I believe all of them have had a great experience. Number 4 is in middle school right now. And, we have issues. We have problems. We have teachers that aren't so great. We have fights. We have lots of things that happen. And, they happen. They happened when I was in school. They happen. You think Pulaski Academy doesn't have fights? They do. They have fights. You think they don't have drugs in their schools? They have drugs in their schools. They have security issues. Like I said, it just doesn't get advertised like it does. Every little thing that happens in Little Rock School District gets blasted across the front page of the paper. So you have to remember who owns the paper. A charter school advocate. So obviously he wants to make us look bad in order to increase enrollment in his charter school. So I say all that to say the easiest way to fix these cuts and keep them from happening is to get our kids back into our schools and out of the charter schools. The funding is based on October 1st, counts, and You know, people take their kids to charter schools and they keep them there until October 1, and then they start putting them out and they come back to Little Rock School District. You and I both know that. The problem is the funding for the next year is based on the October 1st count. So if they stay until October 1st, they're going to get the money for those kids. And we're going to have to educate them without the money. And that's what's killing our budget. So talk to everybody that you know. Advertise our school district. There are great things happening in Little Rock School District. There are great things coming for our students in Little Rock School District. I'm excited about the changes. I'm excited about the progress. We just need our kids and our parents and our families to reinvest in Little Rock School District by giving us their kids to educate. So share that information, and hopefully we can stop some of these cuts from happening. But in the meantime, rest assured that you have a place in Little Rock School District. May not be the place you're in right now, may not be the position you're in right now, but you do have a place in Little Rock School District, and that's largely thanks to our negotiated agreement, where it's outlined what will happen when positions are cut. So have a great weekend. Try not to worry, and I will see you next week. Thanks.